you check the children? Show a little match sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes. That is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
Jaime Fuego here.
And we are here to review another film out of Fantastic Fest 2025. Lots of reviews coming out of there this year, and it's been a bit of a mixed bag thus far from what we've, or at least what I've looked at. This one, though, is one that I was really, really excited to be able to watch. And it was the one that took the longest to hear back about. And so as soon as I got the link, Fuego got the link the same exact time. And we were like, well, should we watch this? And it was yesterday, right? I told you they were out of the office until Monday. So they came back and they sent us the link and we're like, yeah, let's watch it tonight and review it tomorrow. And I'm definitely glad that it turned out the way that it did. We're talking about Beast of War, which is the shark movie set during World War II. And exactly, it follows a group of Australian soldiers that are on a mission on the water in a submarine, or no, not a submarine, just a regular ship, right?
It was a ship, yeah.
Yeah, and
then to the best of my recollection, but
yeah, and it gets hit with a torpedo and sunk, and the surviving men have to survive on the water as a shark has been driven to frenzy around them by all of the dead bodies and stuff, and it just continues trying to pick off more and more off of the little bit of the ship that they've managed to make into a float kind of thing.
And very USS Indianapolis, obviously, and this took place before because it said Australia 42 so,
right?
Yeah, so they were already fighting with the Japanese over there in those waters, and so that's where. And this is based on true events, at least from what I recall.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, and yeah, I mean, my overall thoughts on this were I loved it. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. I mean, clearly it had some low budget, things that it had to work around, but for the budget that they had, I think they did an excellent job. It's to me, again, proof why animatronic sharks still can definitely work if you shoot them right. And I feel like this movie shot the shark very right, and the tension was real, the gore was substantial, there was lots of thrilling moments, lots of nervous kind of moments for me, because I don't do well with like chasing things and like people's feet just out of like grabbing, just out of chomping distance and stuff. So like this is right up my alley, and what I didn't expect about it was that we got a good, Act 1 almost was well, no, not all of Act 1, but the first half of Act 1 at least was like getting to know the soldiers as they were training for their mission. And I was surprised by that. Yeah. I was surprised by that, but it gave everyone such depth that it, framed everyone up for how they were going to act, during the circumstances. But I appreciated it so much because it made me actually care about the characters. So yeah, my overall thoughts were I really dug this movie a lot.
Yeah, man, it's one of the better ones that I've seen at the fest as well. I mean, the highest tier has been like some really heavy as hell drama sort of stuff. So, that's one thing. But, this is a nice melding of both war movie and shark movie. I think as a shark movie, it's very solid. It's quite good. And as a war movie, I think it's even better because, the training bits and even some amusing, instances with like, I want to go to the nursing tent and stuff like that. So there was levity. There was just, and getting to know this friendship between these two characters as well. One of them falling in the mud early on and how the bond kind of starts from there. And then you, of course, got your proverbial assholes and everything. But yeah, the shark stuff, while it's not quite as prevalent as a gorehound like me would have liked, when we get it, it was top tier, man. I mean, just really gruesome and messed up. And, acting was solid. And despite the budgetary constraints you mentioned, I still thought it was filmed very well. I mean, there's some flashback stuff without getting too many details that I like the red color correction of those different bits and everything. So, I mean, Yeah, as far as shark movies go, this is the second one this year, including Dangerous Animals, where it wasn't like full on shark movie, but it melded a shark film with another genre very, very well. So yeah,
Well,
definitely.
I think that's when, shark movies can be the most successful. Like, clearly they're having trouble when it's just a straight shark thriller. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when you have these other elements, it gives you a stronger story to build, and the shark isn't the shark becomes your main antagonist, but the shark isn't the only antagonist, because there's a lot of circumstances,
Yeah.
that you're building up as well. And so I think because those two movies aren't specifically just about the sharks, I think that's why they're such effective shark movies. I think that's really an excellent way to do it. And so let's get into the story of it, which is quite simply, it's like we said, it's a group of soldiers in Australia in 1942 as they are sent on a mission, and their ship gets sunk by a torpedo. A number of them are able to make it up onto this floating bit of metal somehow. Like, I don't know exactly how it's floating, but it is, and they manage to get some stuff on there with them, and it becomes, sort of the can they survive at sea kind of movie, except there happens to be this massive killer shark following them around. And it's not even really a descript kind of shark. I believe it's not a bull shark. I don't think it's meant to be a great white. I'm not sure exactly what kind of shark it's meant to be, but when they do because there's a couple times where I don't think it was practical. And that's where that was like the full body shots, and it looked like a mean fucking shark. Like, it looked like it was angry. Like, it looked like you had stolen its pudding. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand how they got it to do that, but it was entertaining in that way. Because I was like, I would not want to face this shark. I would face the dangerous animal sharks before I'd face this shark, because this thing was nasty looking. But in the best kind of way.
Yeah. Also Australian, now that I think about it too.
What, the shark was?
Well, no, both movies.
Okay.
Australian, yeah. You're like, that's an Australian shark.
I was like, well, jeez, crikey.
Yeah, I know at one point they say it's a 20-footer, and they assume it's a female because the females get bigger than the male. But aside from that bit of dialogue, they don't really give much of a clue as to what variety of shark, because I know they have various ones in the waters, off the coast of Australia. So some of the dangerous waters in the world, as you obviously know.
Oh my God, yeah. I'll never get into the ocean in Australia.
No way, dude.
When you combine the great white sharks and the box jellies, no thank you.
Saltwater crocodiles,
oh my God,
snakes, like all kinds of shit, man. It's crazy.
But yeah, so that's the story. They have to, as many of them are trying to survive, and not only survive the shark, but just survive the circumstances and live long enough to get rescued. And of course, that's the nice thing. Like, things that we've seen in other Lost at Sea movies do come into play, where, like, the lack of resources, the lack of food, the lack of water, the lack of sanity at times. And it's so cool. It's so well done, because it's all just augmented by the tension of there being a shark out there, because one slip up, like, this shark is on it. Like, something hits the water, that shark is pounced. You know what I mean? Like, there's not usually a lot, like a tense, drawn out swimming back to the raft, like, usually the prey doesn't have time to realize that they need to swim back before the shark's on them. In this, which is a kind of a nice, change. Because it doesn't have to be manufactured, drawn out, tense scene every time someone falls in the water. I feel like I've seen a lot of movies do that, and it's like, okay, let's see if they make it back. You know what I mean? There was not really any of that in here, and there's some crazy gore that even have nothing to do with the shark in the movie.
That's what I was going to say, and that's where the story of this film really succeeds, because a lot of the time in a movie that has the shark factor is the most entertaining factor, and everything else just totally sucks. I know you and I have seen and reviewed a number of ones like that. The stuff that is non-shark in this one is compelling and really, I mean, there's a scene of self-sacrifice that's relatively gnarly. I mean, there's actually a couple now that I think about it. Oh boy, and also just the threat that's constantly there of the Japanese, man, because there's scenes with planes, there's scenes where like an actual soldier, from the Japanese side is encountered. I mean, there's just a myriad of other compelling things even beyond the danger that is in the water. I mean, the men are fighting amongst themselves. I mean, there's a bit with some peaches where a guy just can't recall the situation because the mental instability is starting to come into
His
play.
skull's cracked open, yeah.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of great stuff even beyond the shark, element, which is what makes this film elevated compared to a lot of other stuff as far as the writing goes, and the acting too. To jump into that, man, I mean, our lead who has like the whole traumatic thing that he keeps flashing back to with a member of his family, and that's how he knows a little bit more about the shark, element compared to some of the other soldiers. But even he has an interesting wrinkle because of the fact that he isn't a whitey like the rest of these guys. And so there is the racial, sort of element where he's just getting some shit from some of the racist assholes in his troop as well. So that just adds another dramatic wrinkle. He's heroic, he's intriguing, and he also has like a cool little friendship bond going down with the guy that he meets during training. And so, yeah, I thought our lead was great, and also just the supporting cast as well, with all of them being relatively well defined, even between the asshole guy and some of the injured dudes who have it much worse than a few of the others. And so, yeah, I thought the acting, top to bottom amongst all these guys was great.
I agree with you. They did a really great job of drawing the characters as unique characters in as little time as they had to draw them so. I mean, some movies have an entire film and they don't draw the characters as interestingly or as uniquely as they did here. And each of the guys, I think did a fantastic job portraying that version of a character stuck in that situation. So, I no one took me out of it at all. I thought everyone was very on point. I think the two that had the main beef through the movie, they both did a particularly great job as well, especially the kind of the Henry Bowers character, so to speak. Those guys can be pretty one-dimensional sometimes, but I feel like he was, again, well drawn. So I didn't feel that he was flat, like one note, you know what I mean? I feel like there was a lot of it, believe it or not, a lot of that range in his and other people's characters had to do with drinking pee. So I feel like that opened up a lot of different emotional reactions in some of the actors, which was interesting to see. So
and now you're making me remember one of the funnier lines later in the movie where he's like, "Foster's, I'd rather drink piss."
But
Guppy. Yeah.
So yeah, acting was on point. The production value is high. Production design, again, it obviously had to be filmed in a tank, and most of it takes place in the fog, which is fine. It still is a mood. It's still, the fog of war. It makes sense. There's smoke and explosions going off, creating this all the time. So it's not entirely unheard of, and weather does it too. So, I feel like that was a fine excuse for it all. I thought everything felt like real, it didn't feel like it was a toy ship they were on or anything like that. Like everything felt true to life, which was great. The production design of the camp itself was great as well. But the raft and the way they designed that, I feel like that was really cool. It was interesting. The design allowed for a lot of up close and close encounters, stuff like that. So as far as set and production design, all of that was really good. And I have to talk about the design of the shark as well. Again, I thought it looked nasty. It was scary, and I would not want to run into it in the ocean at all. And even knowing, because it doesn't have as much life as a CG shark might nowadays, no, but it also doesn't move as fakely as those CG sharks tend to move in these movies. So,
Yeah, and that's where I was going to echo those sentiments. I mean, like sometimes even with better CGI, we've seen just like this, like just rapid, unnatural sort of movement with the way that they're swimming so frantically a lot of the time and whatnot. But I mean, the director, I just want to double check on his name, Kaya Roche Turner. So his stuff that I've seen in the past, despite working with budgetary limitations, I mean, Wormwood, but even more so, Sting, which I
Yeah.
freaking love Sting, dude. One of his other previous films that had the creature element going on
Yep.
to it. It's very adeptly put together, and there isn't an overuse of the shark. You know, granted, I would always like more, but when we got it, you know, it was that sort of brutality. We're talking like halves and limbs and all kinds of different stuff being gone after accordingly. And from the bioluminescence, you know, where we see some like greenish bluishness coming out of the ocean at one particular point, that's a interesting bit of lighting. And then I already mentioned the red that I thought was effectively used, the blood red in the flashbacks for our main character. So yeah, it was like him and his cinematographer and everything that he did in post just really up the professional look of this. It does not look like a cheap movie, as can often happen with some of these lower budget shark stuff.
Yeah, agreed. Finally, the gore, really. Well, I mean, unless you think the sound design was great. Score, I don't really remember a ton, so I can't really remark on the score too much. Did it stick out to you at all?
Not really, unfortunately, you know, and that's not a slight on the film. You know, I just think I was so much more locked in with the personal human drama going on, because it is relatively dialogue heavy a lot of the time too, once these survivors get onto that spot. Maybe there was some period-ish sort of music going down in either score or some song selections when they were still at the camp, but I just can't recall any specifics, unfortunately.
Yeah,
so
fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, the effects, the gore effects, I did want to talk about. I mean, it was all awesome. It was all so well done. You know, realistic looking, very war-like. You know, and just great. Like it's hard to remark anything other than the gore was really enjoyable, which is a weird thing to say, but
carnage candy, as we like to say, right?
For a horror movie, you need that, you know. So
yeah, and not just on the shark side of things. Like, we're talking after the initial sinking of the ship, dude. I mean, pieces of people just floating all over the place, looking very convincing, very gnarly and gory. Whether it's just like half of somebody or just like a limb floating around or whatever, and including, I mean, even like head wounds. And there was one moment, without getting spoilery as to who it is, when a character gets attacked and tries to fight back, and then when you realize that was an awesome scene, one of the earlier little interactions with this big beast of a fish. So goodness, sorry, that's Mahalo in the group thread, but man, but no complaints on you know, even the blending, because there was obviously a blending of some, you know, CG gore and some, you know, practical
at times, sure.
At times, but yeah, I can't complain. I mean, always props when you can elevate your material and get creative with it and make it look convincing, even with, you know, limited budget. So agreed. So yeah, I mean, I think that's as much as we can say about this without getting spoilery. So guys, I would highly recommend you check out Beast of War as soon as you're available, or as soon as you're able. Do you know if it's supposed to be in the theater? October 3rd, it's going to be limited theaters and VOD. So it'll be a combination of the two of those. So probably just a sprinkling of theaters around North America, you know, Canada, and maybe, I'm not sure if it's out in Australia already, but at least here in the States, October 3rd, VOD drop. And Wellgo USA, I believe, is the ones behind this. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so make sure you check it out when you can. Thank you very much to Fantastic Fest for allowing us to cover this a la press. Very, very happy to do so. This is definitely, I think this is my favorite of the fest so far. I haven't, there's still a few more I'd like to see, but I definitely really like this film quite a bit. So thank you guys very much for watching, especially if you've watched all the way up to this point. Thank you to our patrons for supporting the channel the way that you do. Until next time, though, I've been Cecil Laird.
And gracias a Jaime and Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.
Stay scared.